Welcome to an episode of Chad Sports Talk. Welcome to Week 10 of the College Football 2025-26 season. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. You start to see a lot of separation between the haves and have-nots. You start seeing a bubbling of teams on the edge, on the cusp of getting into consideration for playoff positions. SEC and Big Ten is really leading the charge in a lot of that aspect. I think no one really doubts that. Big 12 is making some noise. ACC's got some surprise horses in there. The Americans going to look like to be the conference for the group, but don't count on Boise State or James Madison. I'm just going to throw that out there now. And we've seen more coaches get fired during the season and some interesting takes from individuals. And I'm going to go ahead and provide my initial point index poll. We'll get more into that in a little bit because the CFP poll should be released after this weekend to really get us down to where teams lie. All right, looking back at week number 9, I actually went 7-3 once again. Only had 10 games on the docket. Some of the games that I got wrong, South Florida and Memphis. I thought South Florida was going to go in there a little bit better because Memphis didn't know who's going to be the quarterback. Memphis decided who the quarterback was and actually took it to South Florida and out-muscled them a lot of that game. And now has become the premier contender for the group of 6 slots for the 12-team playoff. Illinois-Washington, I thought Illinois was better suited. I've seen the other Washington games. They looked out of sort, especially the game against Ohio State. I've seen Illinois take on USC and I thought they were going to lose that game, and then Illinois showed up. Okay, no, we're going to play this. However, when they went up to the Northwest, they forgot the playbook or something because they were just all out of sorts in Washington. Washington dominated Illinois from the beginning whistle to the end and ensured that they submit themselves a little bit higher. Got snubbed in the polls a bit, but definitely making their presence known. It could possibly be a thorn in another team's side later on down the season. And then San Diego State, Fresno State. I thought Fresno State was going to have a shot with San Diego State, but they forgot to show up themselves. At home, they laid literally a goose egg. They had 0 points against San Diego State as the Aztecs just dominated them whatsoever. Those are 3 games I lost out of my 10, so not bad at all. All the major players I won. One of the ones to take a look at is the A&M LSU game in Baton Rouge, and A&M came in there and played. Dominated LSU most of the game. I mean, LSU was able to make those drives, get some points on the board, but they just couldn't keep up with the juggernaut that A&M has become. Afterwards, Brian Kelly was fired from his head coaching duties at LSU. Now time to head to my initial top 25. This is what I call the point index. Now, I assign points to different factors of the season. Somebody wins against a Power 4. I still count Washington State, Oregon State as a Power schools. That won't change until next year. Then the group schools have a certain amount of points. The FCS gives you a point. Then the losses are kind of the opposite of what called. So win against the Power, give you 3, 2.5 for the group, 1 for the FCS. Versus those numbers, when you lose to the Power, it's only lost 1 point. The group 2.5, and then 3 if you lose to the FCS. Give you 0.5 point for overtime losses. Then you throw in the strength of schedule, which is the combined winning percentage of everyone you play. And the strength of victory, of course, and the winning percentage, combined winning percentage of the teams that you beat. When taking on FCS teams, I only count games against FBS opponents. Now, this one doesn't heavily favor one conference or another. You see more teams elevated in mine than you would in AP or Coaches Poll or even College Football Playoff Poll when it comes out next week. And a lot of these are going to be super inflated. I'm going to point that out to you right now. There's one team in particular that is so far up in mine you won't see anywhere else in the other polls. It's just kind of some of the things, some teams that you expect to see there won't be there. So like at mine, you will not see Tennessee. You will not see Utah. You won't see Texas or USC. All of them are kind of sitting outside looking in right now. Things will change once this weekend comes about because there's a lot of head-to-head matchups that should help determine and rack a stack accordingly. So let's just kind of, at number 25, I have San Diego State. They're 6-1. Above them is Oklahoma at 6-2. Definitely lower compared to the other one else. At 23 is North Texas. Nebraska is 22. Then good spot. I have Notre Dame 21. All the other polls put them in the just on the cusp of getting to the playoffs, basically. Memphis is 20. That big win against South Florida really helped them out. Michigan's at 19. Houston 18. Vanderbilt 17. Now, I know it's going a lot lower than what a lot of other people have Vanderbilt at. Oregon 16, a lot lower than what the Big Woods had, and that's because of their strength of victory. They beat teams they're supposed to beat, and those teams are bad. Miami's 15, Texas Tech 14, Tulane is at 13. So we'll see what happens when, with Memphis Tulane later on. Louisville's 12. Virginia at 11. Cincinnati 10. I got Georgia at 9. They're definitely a lot higher everywhere else. Navy at 8. This is the team I was mentioning earlier that's super inflated right now with the numbers. I do expect those numbers to dwindle once they start losing. Ole Miss is at 7. Georgia Tech 6. Probably surprised right now coming out of the ACC. Alabama is 5. I think pretty much where roughly has them. Indiana at 4. Now, I don't know. They're second in all the other polls. BYU is 3. That was a bit of a shock myself seeing that one. Ohio State 2 and Texas A&M number 1. Well, now let's look at Week 10. I have 12 games on the docket for you. There's a lot of key matchups, especially in terms of conferences. The rack and stack them, how we're kind of put up there. Maybe some latch dish efforts to probably get in consideration the playoff committee for their initial polls. A lot of key rivalries. One game that I will not be covering, Florida-Georgia, big rivalry game. I will not be covering it because each one of the teams I have on here all have winning records, both teams. And Florida does not have a winning record, thus I will not be covering it. But freebie for you, I'm taking Georgia anyways. Well, let's kick things off here in Austin, Texas, at the 20th ranked Longhorns play host to 9th ranked Vanderbilt in a massive SEC showdown as both schools are 3-1 in conference play. Pretty much on the outside looking in and looking at the top two, which is A&M and Bama. Almost 1,800 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. Pavia, almost 1,700 yards in the air, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks. But he throws another 450-plus yards on the ground with 5 touchdowns. Dual threat quarterback that Texas is going to have a hard time containing. Weiser comes to the backfield for the Longhorns for 260-plus, 2 touchdowns. But the big caveat in this game is Simmons on the Longhorns defense. The linebacker has 7 sacks on the year. And he's probably going to make his acquaintance with Pavia a couple times in this game. If not behind the line of scrimmage, but definitely as soon as he crosses the line of scrimmage. That's going to be the two Warriors you have to really watch out for. Can Vanderbilt's defense really contain Arch Manning and dictate the matchup? That's going to be another aspect in there. Texas has struggled the past 2 games. Yeah, 2, not 3, 2. 2 games. There we go. Going to overtime, both in Kentucky and at Mississippi State. And they had to come from behind and beat Mississippi State. in terms of Vanderbilt, I mean, they struggled against Missouri. I mean, they did not play their best ball and still ended up winning. They were too much for LSU. They were to edge them out in a game. I didn't think they were going to win. So both these teams coming in here struggling per se. So can Texas defense clamp down? I mean, they failed to do that against Mississippi State. They were there for Kentucky. They were there for Oklahoma. But really need to clamp down. So it'd be kind of hit and miss. I mean, Mississippi State ran up Florida, ran them up on them. But we've seen that the defense for Vanderbilt lets a lot up, except for the game against Mizzou. So it really depends on which team kind of shows up. But this game being in Austin, especially with the cold front just kind of swept through Central Texas. Right now, Texas analytically is favored at 70%. Vegas likes them at 2.5. I am very skeptical of jumping on Texas on this one because of Pavia. Pavia is just a very dominant individual, very focused individual for that Vanderbilt offense. If they can contain him and take him out of his element, Texas will have a shot. Texas has the defense to do that. They need to get out of their own heads for what happened last week against Mississippi State. But I think Texas will find a way in the end to really slip past Vanderbilt. I like the point spread as well. Hook 'em horns. We'll stay in the Lone Star State. We'll go up north on I-35, head to Dallas as SMU Mustangs at 5-3 will take on the 10th-ranked Miami Hurricanes at 6-1. Now, both teams have one loss in conference play and need to keep pace with Georgia Tech and UVA. And SMU had a great game against Clemson where their defense really stepped up, but then they laid a dud against Wake Forest. Well, Miami kind of got outplayed at home against Louisville, but went on the road and dismantled Stanford last week. Which is not really saying much. And they're 3-0 in their in-state games between South Florida, and Florida State. But the Mustangs, led by Jennings, has over 2,000 yards in the air, 17 touchdowns, but 8 picks. Harding comes out of that backfield, 450-plus, with 5 touchdowns. Beck leads the Canes with 1,600 yards passing, 12 TDs, but 7 interceptions. So he's got to clean up that a lot. Fletcher comes out of that backfield, 550-plus, and 9 touchdowns. So both offenses are almost similar. SMU has a better, I think, passing attack. And Miami has a little bit better rushing attack. Defensive-wise, SMU's defense, I think, plays a little bit more aggressive. I mean, they're back there a lot. Webb comes out of that defensive line with 5.5 sacks. Definitely got something that Canes' offense will have to curtail. Almost like something like the Notre Dame game or the Florida State game, even the Louisville game. So these games that they have known how to play, they're 2-1 these type of games, and they figure out how to contain that. SMU can take on the big-time opponents like they did with Clemson. They battled TCU, but ended up losing in the end. And then, of course, Wake just totally shocked them. So they'd have to – the defense really has to come in and try to corral this team as best as they can. Analytics right now likes Miami at 70%. Vegas likes them at 10.5. No, I don't think it's going to be 10.5. But I do think Miami is going to win this one, but this is going to be should be a slab knocker of a fight between these two. And I do think SMU is going to make this a game. They're going to get back there and disrupt Beck all the time. They're going to get him flustered. He's going to wait till the second half before Miami really clamps down and actually do something. I think Miami's going to be able to get there, probably win at least by 9, maybe 10. So I'll probably take SMU for the points, but definitely go Miami for the victory. And we'll continue our trek in the Metroplex, and we're headed to Denton, Texas, as the North Texas Mean Green at 7-1 to take on the undefeated Navy Midshipmen. Yes, my overrated Navy team I have in my poll. Sorry, it's just one of these weird things. North Texas is led by Mestamaker, who has over 2,400 yards passing, 21 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He had a record-setting game last week against Charlotte. They had like 600 yards passing plus. I mean, it was ridiculous. He was just throwing a rock immensely. I think he's going to have at least a 400-yard passing game against Navy. Hawkins comes out of the backfield with almost 550 and 7 touchdowns. Navy is led by Horvath, who has over 1,000 yards in the air, or 800 yards on the ground. Remember, it's a wishbone offense, so it's something that North Texas is going to have to worry about, with 19 combined touchdowns and 3 picks. Horvath is a little more potent on the ground than he is in the air, it seems like. And that defense by the midshipmen is led by Robson. On that defensive front, we has 5.5 sacks. Bidet on the other side has 4 to Mean Green. And we're seeing that, the games that Navy carries on have a lot of points racked up. I mean, it was a 42-32 affair against Florida Atlantic, 32-31 against Temple, 34-31 against Air Force. Those are the last 3 games alone. They were just able to out-muscle their opposite team. When you look at North Texas, their defense is a little more stout until they took on South Florida, and then they just kind of fell apart. And they already took on a wishbone offense already with Army. They had to go into overtime to beat the Black Knights, 45-38, way back on September 20th. So it's been a while since they played them, and the way they've been rolling right now, especially the past 2 weeks, not really stiff competition with Charlotte and UTSA, but they have been racking up the points. The defense has been really buzzing around. I expect them to kind of do the same thing in this one. They'll have a hard time corralling Horvath to ensure immense victory. But right now, NLX likes North Texas at 78%, and the line's at 5.5. That one I kind of agree a little bit more. I think it will be a close matchup between these two. These are 2 very potent teams. This is going to determine the faith in the American, with Navy being undefeated in the standings. But if they lose, that just opens the race. And North Texas, getting this win, puts them in that race, because they're a handful of teams with 1 loss in conference. And they're one of them. But I think North Texas should be able to get past Navy in this affair. Now it's time to head up to Ames, Iowa, as the 5-3 Iowa State Cyclones play host to 5-3 Arizona State. Beck for the Cyclones, over 1,900 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 6 picks. Salmon comes out of that backfield, 540 plus, 4 touchdowns. Levitt, 1,600 yards plus, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And Brown comes out of the backfield, over 700 yards, 3 touchdowns. Part of the problems with Arizona State, they have a pair of players that if one of them is missing, the team loses. Either Levitt or their star receiver, Tyson. And that's part of the problem with Arizona State's offense, is because it's ran by those 2 connecting and making those huge plays. Makes it very difficult for that team to play, because any of the receivers to try to step up don't make the catches, which really eliminates a lot of things that Levitt's trying to do. Brown definitely is a decent running back, 700 yards on the ground, but he's not finding the pay dirt. But he's definitely racking up the yards. And the defense tries, not allowed to, when they can. I mean, especially against Texas Tech, they definitely stepped up in that game. But against Utah, they were overwhelmed, and they couldn't really do much against Houston. Now they get to take on Iowa State, a team that actually has their own little problems as well. Their little hiccups. They're having trouble getting going, getting traction. I mean, losing to Cincinnati by 8. Colorado by a touchdown. And then BYU was just too much for them overall. And look at this. Analytics likes Iowa State at 67%. Vegas likes them at 3.5. I'm going to take Arizona State edging out the Cyclones and sending them on a 4-game losing streak. Now it's time to hit the city of brotherly love as the 5-3 Temple Owls play host to 4-3 East Carolina in a key American showdown. Now, we've already discussed Navy and North Texas already. That's a huge showdown already since Navy's undefeated. These are two other clubs in the American that's in a huge bottleneck of one-loss conference teams. No, they're further down the line and probably won't have much of a factor towards the end of the season, but definitely something you really got to pay attention to leading up. They both have racked up some decent wins. Yeah, Temple had that disappointing loss to Navy, but they lost by 1 point. Put up a good fight against Georgia Tech as well. East Carolina, not so much. I mean, had that big win against Army, as well as Tulsa, but losing to Tulane, losing to BYU. A couple of things that kind of stuck out for the Pirates so far. Now, the captain of this pirate ship is led by Hauser. Over 19 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 4 picks. Montgomery comes out of that backfield, 365, 3 touchdowns. Simon leads the Owls with 1,600 yards plus passing and 21 touchdowns. So he definitely knows how to find the end zone. And Ducker comes out of the backfield, 630 plus and 5 touchdowns. So, yeah, Hauser's probably a little bit more efficient with his passing, but Simon has more lethal passes. And Stewart right now leads that Owls defense with 4 sacks, really setting the tone so far with the Temple and how they're going to placate this game. And this one looks kind of weird, kind of how things are kind of situating in here. Because right now, analytics likes East Carolina at 72%. They have a 4.5 point advantage on the line. And I'm just kind of shaking my head on this one. I think Temple overall might be a little bit better suited against them. I mean, yeah, their passing attack, Miami's not as lethal as East Carolina, or not really lethal, but efficient East Carolina's, but it's lethal, and that's part of the problem. And that rushing attack is going to be another thing East Carolina's going to have to try to contain. It's going to be, I think, going to be hard for them to do. I like Temple in this one. Now it's time to head to the Mountain West. Yeah, I'm just all over the place, ain't I? We head to Vegas, where 6-1 Rebels take on the 5-3 New Mexico Lobos. Lobos are led by Lane with almost 600 yards passing, 9 touchdowns with 8 picks. Definitely has to clean that up if he wants to have any shot of doing anything in this game. Bankston comes out of the backfield, 410, 4 touchdowns. The Rebels led by Colandrea, over 600 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4 picks. Thompson comes out of the backfield, 615, 7 touchdowns. But James Newby, the defensive tackle for the Lobos, is going to be a factor in this game as well. He has 4.5 sacks, so you have to find ways to ensure limit his exposure to Colandrea to make sure he's not disrupting the play call too much. Right now, analytics likes UNLV at 70%. Vegas likes him at 5.5. I don't see no issues with this one. I think UNLV should win this game. Now we head back to the other side of the country. We'll head over to Maryland as the 4-3 Terps take on the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers, and it's going to be a lopsided game. I don't think Washington should Maryland make much of a difference. I mean, that loss to UCLA really stung. They were battling Nebraska. I give them credit there. Battling to Washington. But I think when it comes with Indiana, it's going to be bad because right now the Hoosiers are just a buzzsaw right now in the Big Ten. I don't think there's going to be many teams out there going to fight them. Terps are led by Washington with 1,700 plus yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks. Williams comes out of the backfield, almost 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mendoza has been tearing it up, over 19 yards in the air, 24 touchdowns, 3 picks. I think he should be one of those Heisman candidates. Hemby comes out of the backfield, 500 plus, 4 touchdowns. The defenses are going to both have 2 star defenders, both with at least 5 sacks. So definitely some things to worry about by both teams. I think Maryland will probably make it a little bit of a game in the beginning, but after that, Indiana's just going to take over. And it looks like the Hoosiers at 90%. The line's at 21.5 right now. And what Indiana's been playing, I don't think I'm going to go back down from that. I am taking the Hoosiers in this game by far. Now I head back over to the other side of the country once again, back to the Mountain West, back to Boise State as they play host to Fresno State in a key rivalry game in the Mountain West. Now with this one, I think it's going to be another slacking. Like I said, last week, Fresno State laid a huge goose egg against San Diego State and just couldn't do nothing. And previous they lost to Colorado State. And since then, they've just been kind of treading water. I mean, the only highlight so far they had is they squeaked past Hawaii. I mean, Boise State has a few losses where their offense just kind of disappeared. South Florida, Notre Dame. But beyond that, they have been almost unstoppable. I mean, Nevada, they struggled there, but their defense held them and helped them out immensely, to get past the Wolfpack 24-3 in their rivalry game. Broncos are led by Madsen. Almost has 2,000 yards in the air, 15 touchdowns, 7 picks. Definitely has to clean that up. Riley's going to be a huge factor. Over 700 yards coming out of that backfield, 7 touchdowns. For the Bulldogs, Warner, over 1,400 yards passing, 10 touchdowns, 9 picks. Needs to definitely be more precise with his passing and not trying to force things. Be smart by the passing, and that's part of the problem with Fresno State right now. Donaldson comes out of the backfield, 400+, 3 touchdowns. Right now, analytics is all over Boise State, 92%. Vegas likes them at 17.5. I see no issues with neither one of these. I think Boise State is going to just roll over the Bulldogs and tame them. Now we'll head to Berkley for ACC clash, where the Golden Bears at 5-3 play host to 15th ranked 7-1 Virginia in a massive ACC clash. Now I think California is one of these teams that's kind of sitting on the outside right now. There's too many teams ahead of them to really play a huge factor. All they can worry about is play spoiler. The reason why that, because of their embarrassment they did in Blacksburg, where they fell short and lost in double overtime to the Hokies. And then kind of, hit and miss in terms of some of the other ACC play this year. Virginia has been streaky. I'll play them plain simple. Streaky. The past 4 weeks, they won by a hair. Double overtime against Florida State. Overtime against Louisville. 2 points against Wazoo. And then overtime against North Carolina. It's only because North Carolina went for 2 instead of 1 in the first overtime. So Virginia has been streaky. It's one of these teams that I think that sooner or later the luck is going to run out. I was trying to find a way to pronounce the kid's name at quarterback for Cal, and I'm going to butcher it. I'm just going to say it right now. I am going to butcher it. Jaron. Yeah, I'm Jaron. I'm just going to call you by your first name. 1,900 yards plus passing, 11 TDs, 7 interceptions. Raphael comes out backfield, 560+, and 8 touchdowns. For the Cavs, Morris leads them 1,800 yards plus, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks. Terra comes out of the backfield, 580+ with 9 touchdowns. I do expect that the defense from the Cavaliers should make a lot of the points, led by Ricker with 5.5 sacks, and should really kind of dictate the matchup with the Golden Bears. Cal's got to get their own head. So far, when it comes to ACC play, it's like win-loss, win-loss. So they lost last week. So it could point to them winning. Who knows? And like I said, Virginia has been living by the edge of their teeth, or living on the edge for the past month now. But analytics likes them at 68%. Vegas likes them at 3.5. As I said earlier, the Magic Cup ride is going to end. Cal is a team to do it. Cal does have the capability of knocking off teams. Now, are they going to do it here? That's a good question. But I'll give Cal a shot to knock off Virginia. Now, time to head to Rocky Top over there in Knoxville as the 14th-ranked Volunteers 6-2 play host to the 18th-ranked 6-2 Oklahoma Sooners in a quiet SEC matchup. They're over 2,300 yards passing, 18 touchdowns with 6 picks. Bishop comes in that backfield, 650+, 9 touchdowns. Matt here, almost 1,800 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 6 picks. Definitely has to work on that one. Shows a great Brins here and there, but then the recent games, it's been kind of off. Blaylock's going to be a huge factor for the Sooners. It's going to be hard to contain him because he finds ways to escape. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns coming out of that backfield. So Tennessee's defense is definitely going to have their hands full. I think it's going to be very similar to that Alabama game. So they'll have to find ways to try and contain them. In Oklahoma, it's going to have to try to contain this Tennessee offense. It's going to be like Ole Miss. So both, how these stack up to games in past. Those games I talked, they both lost. So this is their redemption game, more like. Analytics favors Tennessee 63%. Vegas likes them at 3.5. I like those numbers as well. I think Tennessee should be able to slip past OU and continue their trek for hopefully a playoff berth. Now time to head to Lincoln, Nebraska as the 6-2 Cornhuskers play host to the 23rd ranked USC Trojans, who are 5-2. Villa's got to look and try to rebound from that game. He has over 2,100 yards passing, 15 touchdowns, 4 picks. Jordan comes out of the backfield, 570 plus, 5 touchdowns. Raiola over 1,900 yards passing, 17 touchdowns, 6 picks. And Johnson comes out of the backfield for the Cornhuskers, over 800 yards on the ground and 9 touchdowns. So basically, Cornhuskers still playing that old school type of football. Good rushing attack. Raiola definitely has ways to elevate the passing attack to try to stretch out plays. So it's going to be a very test to USC's defense because they kind of played a very similar team in Notre Dame. But Notre Dame had that dual running back threat, and we'll see how they kind of handle this game with Nebraska. Right now, Analytics likes the Trojans 72%. Vegas likes them at 6.5. I'm by halfway tempted to take Nebraska for the points. I do think this is going to be a close battle. It's going to be similar to what USC did with Illinois, and similar to what Nebraska did with Purdue, Michigan. So it's going to be very close. Probably come to the last play of the game. But I'm definitely taking USC in this matchup. And we'll finally end things off over there in Salt Lake City. It's the 24th ranked Utah, 6-2, take on a 17th ranked 7-1 Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati's been on a roll since their opening loss to Nebraska, where they barely lost, by the way. They've just been rolling through teams. I mean, Central Florida game was a bit of a scare. So did Iowa State. So did KU. But they all ended up winning at the end. And Utah took on a couple buzzsaws in terms of BYU and Texas Tech. Failed to get past those games anytime. But their offense came flying back against Arizona State, came flying back against Colorado. So there's definitely sparks in this offense that really elevates the game plan. But I know Cincinnati will be losing, having Pryor's going to be kind of sitting out this game. He didn't make the travel, got to stay home for issues, so they're missing a key aspect, that rushing attack. Sorsby leads the Bearcats offense with 1,800 yards plus receiving, 20 touchdowns, and the pick. And then for the Utes, Dampier, 1,300 plus yards, 13 TDs, 4 picks. Park comes up backfield, 500 yards plus with 4 touchdowns. And Daly is a huge sack machine for the Utah defense coming in the defensive line. 9.5 so far this season. He's going to find Sorsby. He's going to give him a nice Utah welcome. And I do think this is going to be a one-sided affair. Cincinnati has a great standing right now in the Big 12. I mean, undefeated. And they're part of the top 2 teams right now in the Big 12. But their loss will open up this aspect to a lot of teams. And I like Utah as well. I think Utah is going to be too much for the Bearcats, and it's going to be, I think, a one-sided affair, like I said earlier. But there you go. There's my 12 games. Mix and match from all over. Trying to concentrate on a lot of key conference matchups. Some like games out there that I'm not covering that probably should have. And a lot of rivalry games. But, there's a lot of games you got to try to cover, and I try to make sure that each team that provides you at least has a winning record at this point in the season. But let me know what you think down below. Which games you think I got wrong? Which games I think I should have covered? So make some comments below. The more interact, the better it boosts the YouTube algorithm. You also mighty YouTube algorithm that we must pay homage to with human sacrifices to ensure our frontal cortexes are inundated with information that we must intake almost daily. Be a crazy white guy talking about college football or watching a dog try and bring a big stick into the door. Another thing you do, help this video out, hit that thumbs up. If you like what I do and want to continue to support this channel, do is subscribe. Costs you absolutely nothing. Hit that subscribe button, click that bell icon, turn notification, let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. Now, see you next time. Chat Sports Talk.